What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. MTG here with another episode. If you're new to the channel, hi there. So I've got the Samsung Galaxy S24 and the Asus Zenfone 10, and when you put them side by side, they're fairly similar in size, and they also boast a lot of what flagships have. Pretty much like 80 to 90% of what flagship devices like the Ultras and the Pros, but in a smaller form factor. And for me, I had said the Asus Zenfone 3 or Zenfone 10 was the compact smartphone of 2023, and it's already looking like this is going to be a top contender of being a great compact smartphone in 2024, the Galaxy S24. But I'm going to put them side by side and share with you guys my thoughts about both of these devices. And that's going to be starting off with design. So with the Galaxy S24, right off the bat, it looks more premium too. It's IP68 water resistance. It has a 6.2-inch Full HD display, AMOLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, and 2,600 nits of max peak brightness. But just like this aluminum, it's more flat around the sides, and I absolutely love the feel of it. It just screams premium, and Samsung has really refined their design with their S series in the past couple years. With the Asus Zenfone 10, we're getting a bio-based plastic rear that has a really nice texture, and I compare this to like construction paper with some matte metal frames, and I really like these dark black, or the black, essentially black matte metal frames. They look really good. It also has a 5.9-inch Full HD 120 Hz display, so it's a smaller by 0.3 inches, and it can go up to 144 Hz when you play certain games on this. It also has a headphone jack for those who still use one, but it's good to see that Asus is still keeping it around, and it's also IP68 water resistant as well. So they're both different and unique designs, and ultimately does come down to preference. If you prefer this like a bio-based plastic rear with a nice matte finish on the sides and a slightly larger or smaller display, I'd say go for Asus Zenfone 10. But then again, I mean, look at this display on the Galaxy S24. It's more edge to edge. There's more of a chin on, or a top chin and a bottom chin with the Zenfone 10. For me, I personally like the design of the Galaxy S24 much more than the Asus Zenfone 10. Again, it does come down to preference, but for me, I like S24 design a little bit more. Let's talk performance. So it's normal that the S24 is going to have a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip because this came out in 2024. In addition, it has 8 gigs of RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of storage, and the day-to-day performance has been very smooth. Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset has tackled everything I've thrown at it with ease whatsoever. No issues with watching lots of YouTube videos, playing Clash of Clans, browsing the web here and there. It's just phenomenal. Asus Zenfone 10 comes equipped with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is also a champ. And again, day-to-day use has still been very good and right on point. There's been no hiccups or bugs whatsoever. I have the 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gig model, but you can pick up a model with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. That is a little bit more expensive. Performance-wise, though, each of them have been great. I can easily recommend both of them. Now, if you want the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, then you're going to go for the Galaxy S24. But if not, Asus Zenfone 10 still is going to be really good, and that's going to bring me into the software on both of these devices. With the Galaxy S24 and the Asus Zenfone 10, currently they are running Android 14. Well, I'm running the Android 14 beta on the Asus Zenfone 10. With the Galaxy S24, though, again, the software has been pretty smooth. One UI 6.1 is really good. Samsung has really refined One UI from the very beginning when One UI was first introduced, I believe in 2019. I could be wrong with the Galaxy S10 series. But it's become one of my favorite custom OEM skins, One UI 6.1. Not only that, Samsung is going to be supporting 7 years of software updates with this. So pretty much up until 2030, 2031, we're going to be getting software updates with the S24. The Zenfone 10 is going to get 2 years of software updates, major OS updates. And if it's already going to get Android 14, then we're going to get Android 15. That's really it with the Asus Zenfone 10. I hope Asus does bring out more software updates with maybe with the Zenfone 10 or with future Zenfone devices and support for at least 4 years of software updates. That would be really good. Now, this UI, it's like Zen UI. It's very familiar and more of a stock Android look and feel. And I also do love this. There isn't really extra clutter. And it's also really good performance-wise and the software-wise. It's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and the optimization. They both perform great. Again, this does come down to preference. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer a more stock Android look and feel? Then you're going to go Zenfone 10. If you like One UI and used Samsung devices before, picking the S24 up, you're not going to have any issues continuing to get used to your new phone and the user interface of the S24. But yeah, for me personally, I like One UI a lot, but I also like the stock UI feel of the Zenfone 10. So for me, even though this has what I like as a user interface, I'd still ultimately come back to the S24 because it's going to be supported longer than the Zenfone 10. I mean, after Android 14 and 15, this isn't really going to be supported with software updates, whereas this is going to be supported up until 2031. Granted, we'll hopefully come back in the next like 5-6 years and see how well the software does last with the Galaxy S24. But yeah, I'd still come back to this. If it's performance, though, I can go with either one. I'd be fine with either one as a compact flagship device. Now, before I do continue into the camera segment, I want to give a huge shout out to my latest wallpaper pack. It's called Alpinism. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below if you do want to check out this latest wallpaper pack and also my other ones as well. And I also do have Notion templates that you can check out to boost your productivity and to track your finances. And I also have obviously my merch, and you've seen these with each and every one of my videos. Desk mats, I have my hoodies, which I call MTG 2.0. They're embroidered hoodies. And then I have regular sweatshirts, sweaters. I have coffee mugs, 32-ounce water bottles. Again, links will be in the description down below. It really does go a far way in helping out the channel. So with the cameras, we're getting a triple camera setup on the Galaxy S24 and a dual camera setup with the Asus Zenfone 10. And I'll just put up the results. I took some pictures side by side, and they're both really good. The results are very good for both. Again, I think that, like I said, the theme of this video is it does come down to preference, and Samsung does throw in a lot of new AI features with their camera as well. So you do get that opportunity, and that's a plus. And I do appreciate that Samsung has Galaxy AI built into their devices. So honestly, I like the results with the Galaxy S24. I've really liked results with Galaxy S devices in general. They're just more saturated. Just pop out in color. So I personally would choose this, and the fact that it comes with a triple camera setup versus a dual camera setup, that for me is a huge plus. If you do prioritize in camera quality between the two, again, S24 is going to be for you. Now, I'm not saying that the Asus Zenfone 10 quality is bad. No, they're really good. You're getting a 13 megapixel ultra wide with a 6-axis gimbal stabilizer system and a 50 megapixel main camera sensor. But again, it just comes down to the variety with the Galaxy S24. You're just getting more built into the cameras of the Samsung Galaxy S24. Again, preference for me is going to be the S24, but things are going to change with the battery life on these two devices. Up until now, I've been really pushing my preference towards the S24, right? But the battery life on both of these devices is huge difference, a huge difference. 4,000 milliamp hour battery with the S24 and 25 watts of fast charging. Well, Samsung calls it fast charging. 25 watts is not fast charging. This Asus Zenfone 10, 4,300 milliamp hour battery, and it also has wireless charging, which the Zenfone 9 didn't have, which is good, and it doesn't really have that much faster charging either. Again, like, I'm not too picky about the charging speeds because I usually charge my phone at the end of the night anyway, but it's just to note that 25-30 watts is not fast charging. If you want to go fast, consider maybe 45 or 60 watts. For me, 65, 80 watts is fast charging. Anyway, the Asus Zenfone 10, beats the Galaxy S24 in daily battery life. Out of the, like, this just performs like a champ, the Asus Zenfone 10. I'm ending my days with 55 to 60% of battery life with the Asus Zenfone 10. But when it comes down to the Galaxy S24, well, it's like 15, 20. Like I really have to kind of limit the amount of use with the phone throughout the day if I want to get by. It's good, and especially it's better than its predecessor, but still it doesn't beat out the Asus Zenfone 10. And that's why with the battery life, I would 100% choose the Asus Zenfone 10, because I have a wireless charger on my desk, you know, when I'm at work or whatnot, when I'm at home, when I'm around the studio, and I can charge the Asus Zenfone 10's predecessor didn't have it. That was a bummer. Now it does, so that's a huge plus. But the fact that it just lasts me all day. If you're a battery type of person, you need good battery life with a compact phone, Asus Zenfone 10 is going to be that device for you. So yes, Asus Zenfone 10 for me, especially too, just wins in this category. That's going to bring me into the pricing and just the availability of these two devices. Yes, they're both available out on the market. Which one are you going to see more often being marketed is probably going to be the Galaxy S24, as to be expected. Now, the Galaxy S24 starts at $799 for 128 gigs of RAM, or 120 gigs of RAM. That would be insane. 120 gigs of storage with 8 gigs of RAM. Asus Zenfone 10 comes with a $699 starting price with 8 gigs of RAM and 120 gigs configuration. So that's the same configuration starting price, but it's $100 cheaper, or starting price, starting configuration, but cheaper. Then we go up to 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM for $750, which is the one I personally have, and then 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of onboard storage for $799. So with the pricing, and pricing is an important factor for many people, it comes down to which one. Do you want to spend the extra $100 and get the Galaxy S24? Because if you think about it, you can get the same configuration or Galaxy S24 for $799 and get a Asus Zenfone 10 with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage for the same price. So really do think about that. Honestly, I think Asus has a better pricing lineup for their Zenfone 10. Ultimately, it does come down to you, but for many, pricing is an important factor, and I think the Asus Zenfone 10 did a better job. But overall, both of these devices are great and compact champs. Again, for me, Asus Zenfone 10 was the best compact smartphone of 2023. However, I'd like to see what Asus has in store for the Zenfone 10. There is a Zenfone, or a Zenfone 10, a Zenfone 11. I'm butchering up a lot of the things in this video, and I have a script and I have notes as well. But well, anyway, there is a Zenfone 11 Ultra coming out soon, but that looks like to just be a rebranded Asus ROG Phone 8. So we'll see. But that's not going to be the true success. Well, at least I hope it's not. I hope they don't ditch this form factor and just put the Ultra. But I don't think that's the true successor of this compact phone. I hope they come out with just the Asus Zenfone 11 with the same compact form factor. But yeah, which one would I choose? Honestly, probably Galaxy S24. Just because I know it's an extra $100, but I'm getting better software support, better camera versatility, a really nice bezel-less, near bezel-less display, a better build to it, and just something that I can kind of carry on with no issues whatsoever. Yeah, Asus Zenfone 10, if I picked it up for $799 at the same price with a better configuration, that's great and all, but for me, it's like 2 years of software updates is just, that's like 2014, 2015 type of thing. If it was 4 years, I'd be fine. 7 years, yeah, you might think, who's going to hold on to the device for 7 years? I can understand that, but for 2 years of, you know, paying a lot of money and you're not going to get that much software support, I'd have to think about that. So yeah, I'd choose the Galaxy S24, and I think this is going to be a strong contender. And for me right now, it's probably going to be the best compact smartphone of 2024. I don't think we're going to be getting devices that are like 5.4 inches or any smaller, like the iPhone 13 mini. Nonetheless, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, definitely be sure to super that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel a lot. Will help push my content out to more people. That's been it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.